Well, tell these riders the winds have been light all day. It's been up to 45 kilometres an hour at points, those bigger gusts. But this has come to now a really, really interesting part of the race, because you've got Yves Lampaert out here for Soudal Quickstep, who was started this move. Philipsen and Coy went with him, and Frison came across. Everybody ignored him when he went. It would have been a free ride back and kept it together. But now that Yves Lampart's been told not to ride with these fast men, you'll just get beaten. Soudal Quickstep aiming to chase it behind with Van Lerberg, Ballerini and Fabio Jacobsen. They've done a turn or two. People might say, well, why wouldn't all the other riders in this group contribute in the chase? Because it's in their interest. If they want to win the race, they need to bring it back, but they're gambling at the moment. They're using those numbers of Soudal Quickstep against them and say, well, you've got the weight of the race on you now, because you've got the favourite of the race, Fabio Jacobsen. You've got the numbers to support him, and you've gone and blown it by putting a guy up the road who can't win in a sprint against the guys he's with. So you rectify the situation. Meanwhile, they deplete their numbers, leaves Fabio Jacobsen without an effective lead out, becomes a lot more of a free-for-all. So the other sprinters in this chasing group, you're thinking, I'm liking my chances better and better, makes it a bit more of a lottery instead of a straightforward sprint towards the line.
This is the analysis.
He's nearly been taken off the Robbo Koch, and this is splitting.
Oh, Jonas Koch, we've already seen dropping off and getting a bike change, getting back in, and he's swinging at the back by Edward Turns, one of the fast men in that group, as we watch Jasper Philipsen stripping off. And he is ready to go. He's been so active today as we watch Arnaud Demar. Number 71, Demar, one of the big favourites for the race, was in that leading group, but he's swinging on this little rise into that crosswind. And Davide Ballerini, the tongue's out. I don't know what Ballerini's got left, actually. Groeneweggen's going too.
Jez.
And Milano. Dearie me. The wind is blowing a lot harder than I credited it.
Well, this is what I said earlier about, you think about the sprinters who are in this group and who's the favourites to win. You get to the end of a race like this, it's been so aggressively ridden all day long in wind and rain and cold conditions. It has been flat out. It's been really, really fast. These sprinters, some of them will be absolutely legless at this end of the race. They've been on the bike already for almost 210 kilometres. It's not about who's the fastest sprinter necessarily anymore, but who's just got the most energy left to get through. Like Groenewegen, he is just almost riding through his frame. His legs are going, he's almost kneeing himself in the elbows just to stay in contact. And there's plenty of others that feel like that. We saw Demar getting dropped as well. This is just the biggest race of attrition.
He's not on yet either by the looks of it. Groenewegen is not on and looking like he's right at the end of his tether too. Well, one young rider who's doing a brilliant ride in there, the Norwegian Stian Friedhelm, the Uno X rider, who's looked actually very comfortable, Robbie, it has to be said. Robbie McEwen, I'm looking at him on my camera here, is literally biting his lip off, trying to see if these two can get back in. Two of the fastest sprinters in the world, desperately grappling for the back end of what is still the second group as they chase those four leaders. Yves Lampaert, Jasper Philipsen, Olav Koy and Fred Frisson out there in the lead, but 25 seconds between them and this group. 6 kilometres to go, Robbie.
It's excruciating. It is excruciating to watch, just knowing what this situation is like. You might say, well, it's flat. Why are they struggling so much? They've been on the pedals and hard on them all day long. And when your legs go in a race like that, it's just horrible. I mean, this chase is being led now by Ballerini and Van Lerberg. There's a couple of huge turns as well, trying to bring Fabio Jacobsen back to the front of the race.
Groenewegen's gone again.
Yeah, gone again. That's Van Lerberg behind him. Demar also. So this is just so painful at the moment. Your head says yes, your legs say no way. We were done 10K ago.
In this wind and in these conditions, there is no protection for these fast men. Of course, we're so used to seeing them being ensconced in their lead-out trains and protected by multiple riders. They are here alone today and battling for themselves. And the man, I have to say, the fast man who's done it best today, Jasper Philipsen, Olav Koy, just wonderfully coy and protected. We've just not seen him have to make any big efforts at all today. It's been a brilliant ride by the Jumbo-Visma man, the 21-year-old, let's not forget. And here he is on the front of the leading group. But the gap, according to the timing we're seeing, Robbie, is coming down. Davide Ballerini, despite the fact that he's looking absolutely wasted, and Jonas Rickert trying to get our camera out of the way, is making that chase work.
Yeah, well, Ballerini's been able to be fairly conservative because they had Bert van Leeuwenberger doing most of the riding on the front in this group over the last sort of 50k or so. And they've been keeping Ballerini waiting in the wings somewhat to be the lead-out man for Fabio Jakobsen, but now he's just having to lay it down to chase down the group that was caused by their own teammate in Yves Lampaert. So the only way Lampaert can rectify this is ride away from this group with Philipsen and Coy and Frison, and solo to victory or sprint against Frison. And he'll be hoping that Coy and Philipsen are really starting to feel the pinch now, and still only 17 seconds, so this group is by far not out of it.
They are in Adinkerke right now, and the gaps between them so slender. Arnaud Demar trying desperately to get these three back in. Bert van Leeuwenberger, Dylan Groenewegen and Arnaud Demar just closing in on the tail end of that group, who are, according to our timing, 18 to 20 seconds behind the leading group of 4. Yves Lampaert keeps fiddling with his radio in his ear. I'm wondering whether he's waiting to be given, it might be a signal to the camera that he's waiting to be given the instruction to go on the attack, because surely Yves Lampaert has got to try and make good from this situation and go on the attack from that group. It has to happen at some point. Close the gap, Arnaud Demar. Just close the gap, please. Somebody do it. Oh, they might not. They might still yet not make it back. Robbie, the pressure's back on again from Davide Ballerini out of that corner. I don't know if they're going to close it. Groenewegen now comes through, desperately trying to do the same. This might all be in vain anyway, because they may never see those leading 4 again. Any moment now, I think we're going to look back at that leading group and you'll see Yves Lampaert on the attack. He has to. There's 3.4 kilometres to go.
Yeah, he's going to have to choose his moment. The best moment for him will be in a crosswind section if he can get somewhere where the others don't have any shelter in his wheel, if he can go on the side of the road. So, I mean, he knows this course. They all know it now. They've been through this stretch 3 times already. So Lampaert, he'll be weighing up, where do I go? Or do I do it on a straight section of crosswind? Do I try and hit them before a corner and open up a gap? Who do I have on the front when I choose to go? Where do I jump? It's all weighing up, like, where can I get Philipsen in a position where he can't react immediately if I attack? So you want him sliding back on one side and go around the other side, that he's slightly boxed in, say, by Frison, that there's not the immediate reaction, that he can get a few legs. So he's sort of looking at them now, weighing up who looks the best, who looks the weakest, who do I trap on the front, and on which side of the road do I go? What exactly is he waiting for to choose his moment? With just 18 seconds still, the gap with 2.5k to go, it's not looking like they're going to get back.
No.
But there's still a couple of riders here who are capable of placing a big acceleration to try and go across.
Oh, Demar, Groenewegen, Van Leeuwenberger, they've not made it. That's them done, Robbie. I cannot see them coming back from that. And look at this leading group. We have this fascinating situation of Soudal Quickstep chasing a group which is going for the win, which has one of their own riders in it. And he's a former winner of this race, no less. The problem is they have behind Fabio Jakobsen, who they know, should they bring him to the finish at the sharp end, has the best chance of winning. Yves Lampaert is going to have to roll the dice from this group, I suspect, because in Olav Koy and Jasper Philipsen, you have 2 of the fastest sprinters in the world right now. What a fascinating finale, Robbie. It's brilliant. And Fred Frisson is right there, a man who we usually see almost always at the service of Caleb Ewan, with a wonderful opportunity, the big Belgian, today in the colours of Soudal Quickstep there with the red top.
It's been a brilliant ride by Frederick Frison to get across, and as I said, there were guys who just looked at him, but by coincidence it was Demar and Groenewegen on the front when Frison went. That showed at that moment they already didn't have the legs, and they were really starting to feel it. Frison off from the front, Philipsen through again, Yves Lampaert, he just eases himself back out of the wheel, calls Frederick Frison in between. A K and a half to go.
Yeah.
So Yves Lampaert's not slow, you know. He's got a pretty good finish on him, and he'll just be hoping that they've exhausted themselves with this attack. But I will be surprised if he doesn't throw one out at some point, a last-ditch attack, because he's got to be so nervous about having to sprint against Philipsen, who's looked so strong all day.
And they're still not expecting Yves Lampaert to come through. They're going through and off those 3, but every time they're slotting in. Let's see, Fred Frisson, though, is not going to have any of it. He's actually going to go on the back wheel of Yves Lampaert. So we're full on for the race finish from this group now, inside the final kilometre. One of them has to attack, and it has to be Yves Lampaert from this situation. He, as you say, Robbie, has pushed this with Jasper Philipsen today, and he's put his team in this situation, but it's going to be Frisson who goes first. Frederick Frisson, the Lotto Destiny rider who goes first, but it's not a massive attack. It's not quite snappy enough, and he knows it. Immediately shut down by Jasper Philipsen. And we're back to square one. And all the while, Yves Lampaert waits like a coiled spring at the back there to Soudal Quickstep man. He will go at some point. The question is when. And if he doesn't, then he's really messed things up. Where's the group behind, Robbie, as well? They won't be looking back, though. It's all about these four now.
Yeah, well, there's that turn across the tram rails. Frisson stuck on the front, and the head's on swivels now, looking over the shoulder. And Yves Lampaert looks like he's going to back himself in a sprint in the wheel of Kooi in last position. Jasper Philipsen, he just starts to back off the wheel a little bit of Frederick Frisson. No, he wants to go to the front and lead this out, not get surprised. No, stays in the wheel.
Fred Frisson has already attacked once. Now he knows he's going to have to lead out. 200 metres to go. Fred Frisson opens up on the outside. Now Yves Lampaert goes. You were right, you know, Robbie. He wasn't waiting either. He was going to save it for the sprint. What has Jasper Philipsen got left? What has Olaf Kooi got left coming off the wheel in the yellow? Can Kooi do it right on the line? Jasper Philipsen has taken the win. He's done so much in this race, but he's made it count come the finale at Brugge de Panne. Well, what a fantastic win for Jasper Philipsen. I was thinking from the moment we came on air, Robbie, that he might be doing too much. Let's watch the sprint from behind. And it is going to be Fabio Jakobsen, clearly the European champion, taking the sprint from behind for 5th place. And dearie me, here comes Groenewegen and others, those three who were distanced there. De Maar rolls in, the last of them too, along with Bert van Leerberger. Fascinating finale, and another win in the career of this fantastic Belgian fast man who has done a lot. Boy, did he deserve that today, Robbie. He really did, didn't he?
He certainly did. Yeah, that's been just a brilliant ride by Jasper Philipsen. Aggressive, not as calculating, because he just did it with brute force all day long. Yeah, we've seen him at the front in the echelons, pushing the pace, doing plenty of turns, chewing up the work all day long, and then got in that break, didn't shirk one little bit, more or less ignored Yves Lampaert sitting on the back, and huge success there for Jasper Philipsen. And you've got to say that even though they're on the podium with Yves Lampaert, the Soudal Quickstep are the losers of today, seeing the ease with which Jakobsen led the rest home.
So another win for Jasper Philipsen in this what's becoming a very exciting year for him. We saw him have a bike change early on in the period in which Robbie and I were wondering whether there was some kind of new sprint bike emerging on the pro cycling scene. So many bike changes in what became a very attritional race. I can only apologise for the riders for me claiming they were light wins. Robbie's right, they were pretty nasty wins. I certainly wouldn't want to be out there. And it was well, it was a lot of the splits that happened, a lot of the attrition that I'm talking about happened under the pressure of the man you're looking at right now, and he made it count come the finale. I wondered whether Olaf Kooi had anything left, and you were right, Robbie. It's tough to know after a race like this, but do you want to talk us through what happened between these four?
Yeah, well, see, Frisson, he just on the front, having to lead it out after making that attack, chased immediately by Philipsen. But watch Yves Lampaert, then he's just waiting for his moment, seeing which side he can move up on, because he wants to try and spring a surprise. Here he goes as Philipsen looks the other way. He doesn't even see him come past. Opens up the sprint straight away. Philipsen never loses the wheel, and he's able to sit down, change gears, and then stand up and go when he wanted to. Small gear there for Olaf Kooi when he started, and he had plenty left to mount a challenge on Philipsen and just ran out of road. In fact, Kooi should have gone a lot earlier, seeing the sort of power that he had. But Philipsen, he rode that just magnificently. He was brave all day long, didn't conserve his energy. He just monstered them all day. He chewed them up and he spat them out. Kooi, a very good second place. And Yves Lampaert, I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Soudal Quickstep bus after that race, because they had it all in their hands. They've ended up with third, which some teams would say, well, we would have signed up for a third place. But not when you've got four riders in front, and one of them's Fabio Jakobsen. So they've ended, third and fifth. Yep. It could have been so much more for them. But there's no doubt the best rider of the day was Jasper Philipsen.